Greetings and welcome to the Reparenting Daily podcast. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into reparenting, exploring all of the tools and resources that you'll need to help you along your journey. This podcast is divided into 3 sections. The first is a daily reading. The second is a discussion of the reading followed by suggested journal prompts. And the last section is a peaceful meditation for closing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whenever and wherever you're joining us today. I'm so glad that you're here as we continue on this journey of self-expansion and growth. If this is your first time, welcome. Before we dive in, a quick reminder. Like, share, and subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Your support here helps spread the word and grow this community of self-reparenting. Now for a few updates. First, I'm excited to introduce our Patreon community, where for a small monthly fee, you can join us for 3 weekly reparenting support meetings. Sundays, we have a guided meditation for emotional grounding. On Tuesdays, we have a book club discussion for deeper discussions and growth. And on Thursdays, we have open topic conversations for real-time support on any topics that may come up. You can find all of the details about what's included in this community by going to the Reparenting Daily website and checking out the community tab. In addition, we now have a WhatsApp support group, a global network of fellow travelers available anytime you need encouragement, guidance, or simple connection. This is just one of the many ways we're building a strong, supportive space for your reparenting journey. The next announcement is that I've just released my first few books. The first is the Reparenting Daily Journal, a structured 365-day guide to help you work through reparenting day by day. Starting in 2025, each month focuses on a key theme with weekly sub-themes. The Reparenting Daily podcast episodes align with the journal, making it an interactive and immersive experience to help you stay focused and ensure real progress this year. Now for the next announcement, I'm thrilled to introduce Fairy Tales for Reparenting Daily, a collection of 3 books inspired by Jungian analysis, mythology, philosophy, psychology, and most importantly, the work of Marie-Louise von Franz. These short, simple stories are designed to help you reconnect with your inner child and experience healing through storytelling. What makes these books unique? Well, at the end of each story, there's a deep dive analysis exploring its themes, explored by journal prompts to help you reflect on how these lessons relate to your personal journey. All of these books are now available on Amazon, so go ahead and take a look and support this project. Reparenting is a journey of growth, iterative change, and continuous improvement. Much like nurturing the bonsai tree, it requires patience, care, consistency, and attention. Thanks for being here and supporting this work, and for committing on your journey of self-expansion. Now, without further ado, let's dive into today's practice. Today's reading is from Atomic Habits by James Clear. We're reading chapter 6, or the beginning of chapter 6. It's called Motivation is Overrated. Environment matters more. Just as a reminder, we're in April, and the theme is developing structure and self-discipline. We're in week 2, which is the April 8th until the 14th. And the theme for this week is building supportive routines. Motivation is overrated. Environment often matters more. Anne Thorndike, a primary care physician in Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, had a crazy idea. She believed she could improve eating habits of 1,000 hospital staff and visitors without changing their willpower motivation in the slightest way. In fact, she didn't plan on talking to them at all. Thorndike and her colleagues designed a 6-month study to alter the choice architecture of the hospital cafeteria. They started by changing how drinks were arranged in the room. Originally, the refrigerators located next to the cash registers in the cafeteria were filled with only soda. The researchers added water as an option to each one. Additionally, they placed baskets of bottled water next to the food stations throughout the room. Soda was still in the primary refrigerators, but water was now available at all drink stations. Over the next 3 months, the number of soda sales at the hospital dropped by 11%. Meanwhile, sales of bottled water increased by 25.8%. They made similar adjustments and saw similar results with the food in the cafeteria. Nobody said a word to anyone eating there. People often choose products not because of what they are, but because of where they are. If I walk into the kitchen and see a plate of cookies on the counter, I'll pick up a half dozen and start eating. even if I hadn't been thinking about eating them beforehand and didn't necessarily feel hungry. It's like a communal table at the office. It's always filled with donuts and bagels. It's going to be hard not to grab one every now and then. Your habits change depending on the room you're in and the cues in front of you. Environment is a visible hand that shapes human behavior. Despite our unique personality, certain behaviors tend to arise again and again under certain environmental conditions. In church, people tend to talk in whispers. On a dark street, people act wary and guarded. In this way, the most common form of change is not internal but external. We are changed by the world around us. Every habit is context dependent. In 1936, psychologist Kurt Lewin wrote a simple equation that makes a powerful statement. Behavior is a function of the person in the environment, or B equals FPE. It didn't take long for Lewis' equation to be tested in business. In 1952, the economist Hawkins Stern described the phenomenon he called suggestive impulse buying, which is triggered when a shopper sees a product for the first time and visualizes a need for it. In other words, customers occasionally will buy products not because they want them, but because of how they are presented to them. For example, at an eye level, tend to be purchased. For example, items at the eye level tend to be purchased more than those down near the floor. For this reason, you'll find expensive brands on easy to reach locations on short shelves because they drive the most profit, while cheaper alternatives are tucked in harder to reach spots. The same goes for end caps, which are units at the end of the aisle. End caps are money making machines for business for retail because they are obvious locations that encounter a lot of foot traffic. For example, 45% of Coca Cola sales come from specifically end to end on the aisle racks. The more obviously available a product or service is, the more likely you are to try it. People drink Bud Light because it is in every bar and visit Starbucks because it's on every corner. We like to think we are in control. If we choose water over soda, we assume it's because we want to do so. The truth, however, is that many of the actions we take each day are not shaped by purposeful drive and choice, but by the most obvious option. Thank you. And that's the reading for today. Welcome back. Welcome back. The reading titled Motivation is Overrated. Environment often matters more from Atomic Habits expands beautifully into this month's theme and is directly reflecting this week's theme of building supportive routines. The key message is that we often overestimate motivation and underestimate the power of our environment. What the reading showed us is that discipline becomes easier, not because we will ourselves into better habits, but because we design environments that make good choices the path of least resistance. In the same way, the hospital cafeteria changed people's behavior by simply adding more water options. We can support our routines by shaping our spaces to make the right actions obvious and easy. This is especially important in reparenting work. If we grew up in chaotic or neglectful environments, our surroundings may have taught us to associate discipline with punishment or pressure. But this reading reframes discipline as environmental support. It tells us that we're not broken, we just haven't been set up to thrive. Creating a supportive space for you, for your adult self, is a radical act of love for your inner child. Whether that means keeping a water bottle in view, setting your journal on your pillow as a bedtime cue, or rearranging your space to invite calm, these small changes send a message. You deserve to be supported, not shamed into growth. As we move on to the journal prompts today, number 1, what is one small environmental change I can make this week to make a supportive habit more obvious or easier? Number 2, when I was younger, what kind of environment did I grow up in? And how did it support or sabotage my ability to build good goals? And number 3, how can I design my space today in a way that sends a message of safety, support, and consistency to my inner child? Thanks for being here, and as always, take care of yourself and please do be well. Welcome back. Welcome back. Now, this is the third and final section of the daily podcast. This is your silent meditation. Please go ahead and find a space where you can be comfortable and undisturbed, where you can relax and spend some time with yourself for this 10-minute silent meditation. You can choose to be sitting, standing, lying down, or in whatever position makes you comfortable today. Take a moment to simply be with yourself. Focus on your breath and gently connect with each part of your body. If thoughts arise, don't let them overwhelm you. Just observe them without attachment. Imagine them as leaves drifting down atop a river, passing by without needing your engagement. Stay present, grounded, and open to this moment, no matter what time you are listening and practicing this meditation. Namaste.